The sky above the planet burned red. Captain Veyrak gripped the railing of his command deck as alarms screamed around him. The Corvantu, one of the strongest warships in the Zalari Empire, was falling apart. Panels sparked. Systems failed one after another. Fire crawled across the control boards. Shield generators offline. Power core is unstable. "We're not going to make it," shouted his second officer. Veyrak didn't respond. He already knew. A direct hit had punched through the center of the ship. Emergency seals failed. His ship, built by the best engineers in the galaxy, was dying. And yet, it didn't die. Somehow, the ship kept flying. Barely. It limped out of the battle zone, engines coughing like wounded beasts. The enemy didn't chase. They thought it was already finished. Hours passed. The crew worked with whatever they had. Duct tape, scrap metal, even food trays were used to patch holes. Nothing made sense. But one word kept repeating among the crew: humans. Veyrak remembered them. Years ago, in a forgotten corner of space, he had landed on a human-run station after a small accident. They fixed his ship in a few hours. No credits demanded. No questions asked. Just smiles, grease-covered hands, and one message: "We don't let friends drift dead." At that time, he didn't think much of it. Now he owed them his life. The Corvantu barely reached orbit around a nearby moon. They activated a beacon and waited. Rescue teams came, shocked to see the ship still in one piece. Engineers walked in, looked at the repairs, and said nothing. Their silence said it all. What they saw shouldn't have worked. Someone whispered, "This ship should have exploded." At the Galactic Council, Veyrak stood before a panel of 12 species. He told them everything. How the ship survived. How strange tools were found deep in the repair lines. How old patches, originally made by humans, had held through the worst blasts. The council listened. Some leaned forward. Others smirked. "Captain," a counselor said, "you mean to tell us that your survival was because of humans, unregistered engineers from a backwater station?" Veyrak didn't blink. "Yes. Impossible. Their tech is outdated. Their methods are unapproved." "Then explain how I'm standing here," he said. No one answered. The council ruled the incident as lucky circumstances. They thanked him and closed the hearing. But Veyrak didn't stop. That night, alone in his quarters, he typed a message. It was short, encoded, and sent across secure private channels. He knew which captains would understand. The message read: "Rourke Station, Sector 19 Zeta. They saved my ship. They'll save yours. Tell no one." He closed the comms and sat in silence. He had done all he could. Far away in the dark edges of known space, Eli Rourke walked across his dusty repair bay. He wore a brown jumpsuit with sleeves rolled up, arms covered in machine oil. His station, floating near a dying star, didn't get many visitors. That changed 3 weeks ago. A massive alien cruiser had shown up with no warning. Hull cracked. Weapons melted. No signal sent. Only a docking request. Eli and his team worked nonstop. No manuals. No proper tools. Just human instinct, old-fashioned welding, and something else. Something they couldn't explain. The ship flew again. Now others were coming. Slowly. Quietly. No names. No questions. Tonight, Eli locked up the main workshop when a soft knock echoed from the back corridor. He turned. A tall figure stepped out of the shadows. Wrapped in a cloak, its eyes glowed softly blue. "Who are you?" Eli asked, surprised but calm. "I'm just a voice," the stranger said, "sent from someone who believes in you." Eli narrowed his eyes. "You're not here for a ship, are you?" "No. I'm here with a message." The figure stepped closer. Eli didn't flinch. "They're coming," it said. "Ships from every corner. Captains who don't trust their own yards. Empires that can't admit their systems are broken. They're coming to you." Eli exhaled slowly. Why? Because humans fix what others abandon. And what do you want me to do? The stranger smiled. Be ready. Then, just like that, the figure vanished into the dark corridor. Eli stood alone. The lights buzzed softly overhead. Somewhere behind him, a console beeped. A new ship was arriving. The dark edge of Sector 19 Zeta shimmered with strange lights. One by one, alien warships appeared, silent, slow, wounded. They made no hails, sent no formal requests. They simply waited. Some hovered just outside scanning range. Others drifted closer, their hulls cracked, engines coughing plasma, like beasts crawling home to die. Inside workstation, Eli Rourke stared at the monitors, blinking in disbelief. 6 ships, no ID, no call signs, all massive, all broken. One of his crew, a short woman named Rena, whispered, "Are we under attack?" Eli shook his head. No. If they wanted us gone, we'd already be dust. He pressed the comms button and opened a local broadcast. This is Workstation. You need repairs, you come in one at a time. No weapons, no drama. Silence. Then, one ship blinked its outer lights twice, an ancient, non-verbal code. Peaceful. Help requested. No threat. Rena stared. Who still uses old Earth beacons? Eli smirked. Aliens who don't want to be found. The first ship docked, a Dravar-class destroyer. Its port side split open like a peeled fruit. Engineers should have condemned it. Instead, Eli climbed aboard with his bag of tools, scanning the wreck. He muttered, "They flew this thing through hell." The Dravar captain, a towering insectoid creature named Krellin, stood beside him. It barely spoke, just followed, eyes twitching, mandibles clicking with tension. Eli waved a scanner over the fusion core and whistled. "Your power coils are shattered. But they're still pushing energy somehow. Who patched this?" Krellin answered, "You did." Eli blinked. "I've never touched this ship before." "You trained someone who did." Eli didn't respond. He just got to work. Over the next 3 days, Workstation turned into a miracle machine. One by one, ships entered. Some too large for the docks, forced to tether by cable. Each came with strange wounds. Some were clearly in battles they weren't supposed to survive. Others carried scars from systems that didn't even exist on human schematics. But all of them had something in common. Someone had already patched them using Earthborn repair techniques. They weren't just copying human tools. They were copying Eli's old tricks. On the 4th night, while walking back to his bunk, Eli found a message etched onto the side of a rusted pipe. It wasn't there before. It read, "They're afraid. Not of you. Of what it means if you succeed." He stared at it for a long time. Meanwhile, far from Sector 19 Zeta, the Galactic Council gathered again. Quiet whispers now flowed through their sealed chambers. The word Rourke was showing up in more reports. Unregistered vessels, skipping official repair stations, were all heading in the same direction. Toward one human. A counselor hissed, "He is disrupting galactic order." Another replied, "He's fixing what we can't." A third, more cautious voice said, "Or he's becoming something we never prepared for." They ordered a watch. Quiet. Deep. No interference. Yet. Back on Workstation, Eli stood in front of something impossible. The 7th ship had just docked. Not a warship. Not even military. It was a civilian hauler. From Earth. Or rather, it had once been from Earth. Now, it was barely holding together. Its markings faded, engines coughing dust. The door opened, and an old man stepped out, walking with a limp. He looked at Eli. "You're a hard man to find," the stranger said. Eli frowned. "Do I know you?" "You should. I'm the reason you're alive." Before Eli could respond, the man handed him a black cube. Inside it was a map. Not of space. not of star routes, but of hidden ships, human-designed, alien-flown, scattered across the galaxy. Some were waiting. Some were already moving. Some were headed to war. Eli Rourke stared at the cube on his desk. It pulsed gently, like it was alive. But it wasn't just the map inside that unsettled him. It was how it felt. Familiar. Not the technology, not the interface, the intention. He hadn't built it, but whoever did used his designs, modified, evolved, and then scattered across the stars like a breadcrumb trail. The old man, now resting in the guest quarters, had only said one thing before falling asleep. You fixed one ship. Then the galaxy copied you. That was the first mistake they made. Outside the station, alien warships orbited silently. Not hostile. Not afraid. Just waiting. Like they knew something was coming. Rena leaned beside Eli, arms crossed, eyes locked on the black cube. Why would aliens choose a human repairman over their own military yards? She asked. Eli replied softly, because I don't ask questions. She gave him a look. And because I don't follow their rules, he added. Their tech is built for control. Mine's built for survival. He tapped the cube. It zoomed in, revealing a region deep in galactic dead space. The Cold Band, a graveyard of derelict ships, long forgotten. Except now, some were active. And one of them was human-made. Flashback, 10 years ago. A younger Eli sat in a crater on Mars, legs bleeding, clutching a burning datavat. The drone war had ended just hours earlier, but the silence was worse than the noise. He was alone, surrounded by broken drones and shattered tech. But inside his hand was a schematic, one that could reroute damaged systems using scrap metal and willpower alone. It wasn't supposed to work, but it did, and someone had stolen it. Back in the present, the old man, Captain Tren, finally spoke again. Eli, that cube? It doesn't just map ships. It tracks the ones that survived using your designs. Ships that shouldn't be flying. Fleets patched up with chewing gum and desperation. Eli frowned. What does that mean? Tren stood up slowly. It means you've created something no one saw coming. A repair culture. A resistance. And now, maybe a rebellion. That night, a strange ship arrived. Not huge, not damaged. It hovered outside the station without message or movement. Eli scanned it. It had no drive signature, no crew, no life signs. But it was broadcasting a signal, an encrypted human code, old, pre-unification era. Eli cracked it in minutes. One line appeared on his screen. Come to the Cold Band. Everything else is a lie. Despite Rena's protests, Eli made the decision. He was leaving. Tren agreed to stay and run the station in his absence. The alien captains didn't argue. They simply moved aside, as if they knew this was part of something larger. As the human-built scout ship departed Workstation, Eli looked out the viewport. He didn't know who had started this chain of events. He didn't know why ships across the galaxy were risking everything to come to him. But one thing was clear. The old systems were breaking. And the galaxy had started whispering a name it hadn't feared in generations. Human. The journey to the Cold Band took 5 days at subspace velocity. During that time, Eli Rourke didn't sleep much. The cube kept pulsing, adjusting its signal, refining the map like it knew what was coming. Rena stayed behind at Workstation, relaying updates. But the silence from the outer systems grew louder each day. Ships weren't just arriving anymore. They were disappearing. Whole fleets, gone from radar, leaving only half-finished comms and terrified whispers. Something's following us. We never should have left human space. The repairs didn't fail. The ships were taken. Eli leaned forward in the pilot's seat of the borrowed human scout. His fingers tapped the console in rhythm. This wasn't just a mission anymore. It was a rescue. The Cold Band wasn't cold. It was dead. a stretch of deep space littered with the bones of 1,000 forgotten battles. Wreckage drifted slowly through blackness. Ancient ships, unmarked satellites, frozen corpses still gripping rusted railings. But as Eli's ship crept through the graveyard, his console pinged softly. Life signs, hidden deep within the wrecks, was a pulse. Not a distress signal, but a heartbeat. He followed it. Then he saw it. A station, massive, hidden inside the fused carcasses of warships. It looked like someone had dragged a human dry dock into the void and welded alien tech around it like armor. Crude, mismatched, clearly not regulation. And yet, functional. The ship docked automatically, guided by invisible tethers. Eli stepped off, his boots echoing against the metal floor. The lights flickered to life. Then the voice came, calm, male, familiar. Eli Rourke. Finally. The figure that emerged wore a torn engineering suit, but it wasn't human. It was a Valkyrie, a reptilian species known for their cold logic and disdain for human improvisation. This one had scars across his face and a human-style tool belt strapped to his waist. "I am Carrick," the alien said. "I run the forge." Eli stared. What is this place? A sanctuary, a secret, a growing truth. Carrick stepped aside and motioned him forward. "Come, let me show you what your work started." Inside, Eli saw dozens of ships, alien, hybrid, repaired with human design philosophies. Everywhere, creatures of different species worked side by side, exchanging tools, updating diagnostics, and learning. They weren't just copying Earth tech. They were evolving with it. Carrick explained, "Galactic engineering follows perfection. You taught survival. You taught repair without protocol. Every time a ship limped back from the dead, captains whispered your name. Some came to find you. Others built this." Eli swallowed hard. "And why me?" Carrick tapped his tool belt. "Because you fixed the unfixable. And now, you've attracted attention." A warning klaxon sounded. Red lights pulsed across the station. Carrick's expression hardened. "They found us." Eli rushed to the viewport. Out in the cold band, a Council-class dreadnought exited subspace, massive, gleaming, and fully armed. Behind it, 2 more followed. Carrick growled. "They sent enforcers, not to talk." Eli clenched his jaw. "They're here to erase the evidence." Back inside the command deck, a technician, another human, handed Eli a datapad. "We have ships to defend ourselves." "Barely. But you need to see this." The datapad lit up with a live broadcast. "Galactic Council High Alert. Eli Rourke declared rogue agent. Any ship aiding him will be considered an enemy of order." Eli smiled grimly. "I guess I'm finally famous." As the forge went into lockdown, Carrick gave Eli a choice. "You can run. We'll buy you time." Eli looked out at the broken ships, the engineers, the quiet unity of this hidden place. "No," he said. "I'm staying." Carrick grinned, showing sharp teeth. "Then let's fix what's broken. Together." The cold band drifted in silence. Council dreadnoughts had vanished into hyperspace. The forge stood battered, but unbroken. Around it, dozens of ships floated. A fleet of the forgotten, the exiled, the curious, and the loyal. Eli Rourke sat in the dark, staring at a long-forgotten schematic projected from the glowing cube. This wasn't just alien tech. It was a blueprint, and something about it was human. In the forge's archive chamber, Carrick clutched a sealed cylinder they'd found in the maintenance crawlspace, one the Council Marines had been trying to extract before Eli stopped them. It wasn't a bomb. It was a memory core, one that had been hidden for decades inside the walls of the forge, by someone who knew it would need to be found eventually. Eli connected it to the cube, and the room changed. A hologram flickered to life. A man appeared, older in worn engineering coveralls, a faded Earth badge on his chest. "My name is Victor Rourke. the message began. Eli's breath caught. And if you're watching this, then the council finally came to finish what they started. Victor explained everything. Decades ago, the Forge had been a secret human experiment, built after first contact with alien civilizations. It wasn't meant to fight. It was meant to learn. A hybrid between Earth engineering and alien physics, a proving ground to test ideas no council world would dare attempt. And it worked. Too well. The council saw what we were building. They said it violated galactic protocols, said humans were moving too fast, too free. So they shut us down. Victor's voice cracked. But I left it behind. I left this place, and a few good friends, hoping one day someone would bring it back online. The projection ended. Silence. Then Eli whispered, "My grandfather." Carrick leaned forward. The council erased this history. Eli nodded slowly. If they buried this, what else have they hidden? Meanwhile, across the galaxy, news of the Forge's survival spread in whispers. Rumors of human-built repair bays that outperformed military yards. Of ships once thought lost now fighting stronger than before. Of engineers who turned scrap into salvation. Inside the Council's command citadel, panic brewed behind polished silence. Fleet Marshal Tyrell Vaughn slammed his fist against a datapad. Who authorized an attack on the Forge? No one answered. Someone had acted without permission, or worse, with secret orders. The Marshal hissed, "Find every ship that's visited the Cold Band. Every captain who's spoken the name Rourke." Back at the Forge, the new arrivals gathered in the central hangar. A massive meeting. Humans, aliens, independents. They all spoke one language. Survival. They weren't just customers anymore. They were allies. Some were traitors. Others were smugglers, pirates, deserters. But each of them had stories of how the Forge had saved their ships and their lives. One Kilari shipmaster spoke up. "We trusted no one, not even our own kind, but your people fixed us when you had no reason to." Another voice added, "You didn't just repair our ships, you gave us a chance to fight again." Eli stood before them. "This place was built to test ideas," he said. "But now, we're building something more." He uploaded Victor Works blueprints into the Forge's core system. New modules began powering up. Defense grids, advanced fabricators, engine rooms that hadn't spun in decades. A message pinged from the edge of the Cold Band. A ship entering space, not Council. Something older. The cube began glowing again, pulsing stronger than ever. Carrick narrowed his eyes. "That's not a regular signature." Eli stepped closer. "No, it's calling something." Outside the station, space began to ripple. A rift opened. From it emerged a vessel no one recognized. Dark, silent, ancient. Its hull shimmered with alloy no modern scanner could identify. It bore no flags, no lights. Just one marking burned across its front in alien script, and one word underneath, scratched in old Terran text. Prototype. The cube's glow sensed with the new ship. Eli stared at the data spike. His voice dropped. Victor didn't just build the Forge. He looked out the window. He built something else. The rift pulsed with a silent hum as the vessel emerged fully, ancient, angular, and unlike anything the Forge had ever seen. It hovered near the station, unmoving. Scanners returned nonsense. No heat signatures, no propulsion trails, no AI presence, just silence. But Eli felt it, in his bones. The cube trembled in his hand then, launched itself from his grip, and floated midair, glowing like a star fragment. It pulsed once, and the ship answered, with light. Across its blackened hull, patterns ignited, circuits waking after decades, maybe centuries. The once dead vessel stirred like something alive. Inside the Forge, alarms began to ring. Carrick pulled up the feed. There's a link. The cube's activating the ship. Eli stepped toward the viewport, eyes wide. My grandfather didn't just leave behind schematics, he left behind a message. Suddenly, the cube projected Victor Rourke again, only this time, not in archive form. It was a live message, triggered by proximity to the prototype. Eli, if you're seeing this, then the Forge lives. That means you survived. And that means we have one last chance. He glanced over his shoulder at the dormant vessel behind him. This ship was our dream. A vessel built from every alien technology we studied. But it was never meant to fight. Victor's voice hardened, until the Council forced our hand. The screen behind him showed battle footage, Council ships firing on civilians, on scientists, on ships fleeing Earth's outer colonies. Victor's voice was calm but furious. They said we were too dangerous to be free. He looked straight into the camera. Then let them learn what dangerous really means. The transmission ended. The queue locked into the Forge's central terminal. Outside, the prototype came alive. Energy spiraled around it, forming shields that shimmered with quantum feedback. Weapons bays opened, not bristling with cannons, but smooth, elegant systems that defied recognition. Carrick's mandibles clicked nervously. That's not a battleship. That's something else. Eli smiled. It's a response. Meanwhile, the Council was preparing a full blockade. Dozens of dreadnoughts now orbited the outer sectors of the cold band. They didn't speak, didn't negotiate. The Council wasn't coming to investigate. They were coming to erase. And this time, they weren't sending just soldiers. They were sending cleansers, machines built for one purpose: destruction. On the Forge, crews scrambled to prepare. Every independent ship now armed itself. The old hangars flooded with volunteers, pilots, smugglers, deserters, all choosing to stand. Not for Earth, not for war, but for something they could finally believe in. Each of them had a story. Each of them had been saved by human hands. And now, they would protect the very place that gave them hope. Eli walked into the control core of the prototype. The ship responded to his presence. Panels lit up. Controls molded to his touch. It wasn't just recognizing his DNA. It knew him. Because Victor had built it that way. A voice echoed through the cockpit, synthetic, yet somehow human. Welcome, Rourke, awaiting command input. As the first wave of Council ships appeared on long-range scanners, Eli broadcast a message. To the Galactic Council. This is Eli Rourke of the Forge. Your fleets are not welcome here. You call us dangerous. Maybe it's time we proved you right. The prototype launched. It didn't warp. It didn't accelerate. It disappeared and reappeared instantly behind the lead Council dreadnought. It didn't fire. It simply emitted a pulse. The enemy ship lost all power. Then another pulse, and its own weapons turned inward. Inside Council Command, chaos erupted. Unknown tech, shields down. It's hijacking our eye. Shut it down. Shut it down. But it was too late. The dreadnought exploded from within, without a single shot from Eli. The rest of the fleet hesitated. And in that moment, the Forge's allies attacked. A swarm of retrofitted ships, jury-rigged fighters, old freighters turned warbirds, all charging into battle with one purpose: to defend the engineers. Carrick fired from a gunner's nest in the Forge, laughing. Aliens and humans fought together, against an empire that had underestimated them for too long. The Council called them rebels, but they called themselves something else: repairmen of the broken, defenders of the forgotten, builders of what the galaxy had tried to bury. The prototype didn't destroy the Council. It dismantled their command systems, disabled their logic cores, and left them adrift. And when the last ship surrendered, Eli gave the order. Let them go, but make sure they remember what happened when they came to erase us. Months later, the Forge stood brighter than ever. The cold band had become a new neutral zone, a place where no species ruled. Only those who built and rebuilt. where ships of every kind came not just for repair, but for a new beginning. In a quiet workshop, Eli placed the cube back in its case. The prototype hovered silently in orbit, its mission complete. He whispered to himself, "They wanted us silent, but we answered with something louder." A human engineer's promise, kept. Months had passed since the Council's fleet was driven away. The cold band was no longer a secret. It had become a beacon, a neutral ground where every ship, human or alien, could find sanctuary and renewal. Eli Rourke stood on the observation deck of the forge, watching ships come and go. But something weighed on him. The victory was not the end. It was just the beginning. In the deepest part of the forge, beneath layers of reinforced hull, a new project was quietly underway. Engineers and scientists from many species worked side by side on a device, unlike anything the galaxy had seen. They called it the Legacy Engine. Eli approached the glowing core, its energy humming softly. This was Victor Rourke's final gift, a power source designed to revolutionize space travel and repair. It combined human ingenuity with alien technology in a way that was elegant and terrifying. "If we can unlock its potential," Eli said, "we could rebuild entire fleets in hours, travel vast distances instantly, even create defenses no one has ever dreamed of." But not everyone was pleased. The Galactic Council still lurked in the shadows, its leaders fearing what the forge represented. They sent spies, saboteurs, and false promises to try to stop the Legacy Engine from ever activating. Yet, every attempt failed. Because the forge was no longer just a place, it was a movement. Pirates who once roamed the outer rim were now defenders of the forge. Traders who once ignored human ships now sought their protection. And every ship repaired here carried the mark of a new alliance, one built on trust, respect, and the power of creation. One evening, as Eli worked late on the engine, Carrick entered quietly. "The Council will not give up easily," Carrick said, his voice low and serious. "They plan a final strike, to destroy the Legacy Engine before it can change the galaxy." Eli nodded. "We'll be ready." The final battle was not fought with weapons alone. It was fought with ideas, innovation, unity, and the unbreakable spirit of those who refused to surrender. The Legacy Engine powered the forge's defenses, turning scrap metal into shields and raw energy into weapons of precision. As the Council's fleet approached once more, they found a force unlike any before. A fleet of repaired, rebuilt, and reborn ships, moving with speed and coordination they had never seen. The Legacy Engine was the heart of this new power. The Council's dreadnoughts fell one by one, not to superior firepower, but to superior engineering and unity. And when the dust settled, the galaxy knew this. No empire could silence the human spark. Eli stood on the forge's bridge, watching the stars. The Legacy Engine pulsed beneath his feet, a reminder of what humanity could build when they dared to try. He smiled. The future was theirs to create.